Boosh! Ladies and gents, fans and friends, Lachlan here from Halcyon Rain. Hope you guys are safe. Hope you guys, in your house, staying sane, staying comfortable, healthy. That's a first. Thought I'd drop in, into your zone and give you an update about what Halcyon Rain's doing, where April's kind of leading us, keep you informed. All of our gigs in April are cancelled, naturally. That's an understandable situation. We had April 9th at OD's, April 12th at Hideaway Bar, April 18th at Hornsby, and April 19th at Frankie's Pizza. They're gone. So don't go to those gigs. Don't go outside. Stay safe. Stay in your home. You'll be fine. What I'm trying to do here with Halcyon Rain for you, kind of as a performer, I've got the itch. I want to entertain. I want to spin some plates. I want to break the monotony. Get your mind off something. Get you out of the bored zone, if at least for 20 minutes if I can. The problem is we have content out. This album. That's what we've got out. So I thought I would drop in to you guys, change it up a little bit. Maybe drop in a bit of content that you weren't expecting. Hence, this. I'm sure you read the title. I'm sure you're interested about what's going on here. So am I. If I'm honest, it was kind of an excuse to drink on a weekday, because that's what I can do these days. But it's also, I want to keep you guys interested. I want to keep you guys entertained. So if there's something that you want to see from us, from Halcyon Rain, let me know. If you don't, let me know. Or if you like this, you'll get chapter 2, full show. So let me know. I'll drop something in, and I'm pretty sure I'll be taking a couple of shots, because I got this bad boy to get me through the week. So please, enjoy, interact, and I hope you're doing well. This has been Halcyon Rain's Arvo. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the adventure. I'm Arvo, and I shall be reading you Moby Dick. And as promised, we must take the voyage together! 3. Cheers. 1. 2. To read sea shanties, one must drink like a sailor. Today's experience is to get you into Moby Dick the book. It's to give you an initiation into the majesty that is Herman Melville's Moby Dick. If I may. Chapter 1. Loomings. Call me Ishmael. Some years ago, never mind how long, precisely, having little or no money in my purse, and nothing particular to interest me on shore, I thought, I will sail about a little, and see the watery part of the world. It is a way I have of driving off the spleen and the regulating of circulation. Whenever I find myself growing dim about the mouth, whenever it is damp, drizzly November in my soul, whenever I find myself involuntarily pausing before coffin warehouses and bringing up the rear of every funeral I meet, and especially whenever my hypos gets such the upper hand to me, that it requires a strong moral principle to prevent me from deliberately stepping into the street and methodically knocking people's hats off. Then, I count it high time to get to sea as soon as I can. This is my substitute for pistol and ball. Where the philosophical, flowerish Cato throws himself upon the sword, I quietly take to the ship. There's nothing surprising in this. If they but knew
Almost all men in their degree, sometime or other, cherish very nearly the same feeling towards the ocean with me. There now is your insular city of Manhattan. Manhattan, not Manhattan. Knew that one. Round by wharves, as Indian isles by coral reefs. Commerce surrounds it with her surf. Right and left, the street takes you waterward. Its extreme downtown is the Battery, where the noble mole is washed by waves and cooled by breezes which a few hours previous were out of sight of land. Look at the crowd of the water gazers there. Mr. Herman Melville, Ishmael, the main character. Oh, the main character, not very fond of the land lovers. Drink count. Circumambulate the city of the dreamy Sabbath afternoon, go from Coraller's Hook to Cunty's Slip, and thence by Whitehall northward. What do you see? Posted like silent sentinels all around the town stand thousands upon thousands of mortal men, fixed in ocean reveries, some leaning against the spiles, some seated upon pier heads, some looking over bulkheads of ships from China, some high aloft in the riggings, as if striving to get a still better steepward peep. But these are all landsmen, of weekdays pent up in lath and plaster, tied to counters, nailed to benches, clinched to desks. How then is this? Are the green fields gone? What do they here? Really not a fan. Let me tail off for a second. But look! Here come more crowds, pacing straight for the water and seemingly bound for the dive. Strange. Nothing will content them but extremest limit of land, loitering under the shady lee of yonder warehouses will not suffice. No. They must get just as nigh to the water as they possibly can without falling in. And there they stand, miles of them, leagues. Inland is all. They come from lanes and alleys, streets and avenues, north, east, south and west. Yet here they all unite. Tell me, does the magnetic virtue of the needles, of the compasses of all those ships attract them thither? Thither. Very exciting. Once more, say you're in the country. In some high land of lakes, take almost any path you please, and 10 to 1 it carries you down the dale and leaves you there by a pool in a stream. There's magic in it. Let the most absent-minded of men be plunged in the deepest of reveries. Stand that man on his legs, set his feet a-going, and he will infallibly lead you to water, if water be there in that region. Should you ever be athirst in the great American desert, try this experiment. If your caravan happened to be supplied with a metaphysical professor, yes, as everyone knows, meditation and water are wedded forever. But here is an artist. He desires to paint you the dreamiest, shadiest, quaintiest, and most enchanting bit of romantic landscape in all the valley of Seku. What is the chief element he employs? There stand his trees, each with a hollow trunk, as of a hermit and a crucifix were within. And here sleeps his meadow, and there sleep his cattle, and from yonder cottages and sleepy smoke, deep into the distant woodlands, winds and mazy ways reaching to envelop spurs of mountainous bathed in their hillside blue. But though the picture lies thus tranced, and through this pine tree shakes down its sighs, and leaves you upon the shepherd's herd, yet all were in vain, unless the shepherd's eyes were fixed upon the magic stream before him. Go visit the prairies in June, where for the scores on scores of miles you wade knee-deep among tiger lilies. What is one charm wanting? Water. There is not a drop of water there, where Niagara but a cataract of sand, would you travel your thousands of miles to see it? Why did the poor poet of Tennessee, upon suddenly receiving 2 handfuls of silver, deliberate whether to buy him a coat, which he sadly needed, or invest his money in a pedestrian trip to Rockaway Beach? Why is almost every robust, healthy boy with a robust, healthy soul in him, at some time or another, crazy to go to sea? Why, upon your first voyage as a passenger, did yourself feel such a mystical vibration when first told that you and your ship were now out of sight of land? Why did the old Persians hold the sea holy? Why did the Greeks give it a separate deity and make their own brother of Jove? Surely all this is not without meaning, and still deeper the meaning of the story of Narcissus, who, because he could not grasp the tormenting mild image he saw in the fountain, plunged into it and drowned. But that same image we ourselves see in all rivers and oceans. It is the image of ungraspable. It is the image of the ungraspable phantom of life, and this is the key to all. I would have a fan on, but it's quite loud and interrupts the audio. Apologies for the towel off. Seems to say Mr. Melville's quite a fan of the ocean, wouldn't you agree? Doesn't like the old landlubbers, does he? Now, back to the book. Now, when I say I'm in the habit of going to sea whenever I begin to grow hazy about the eyes and begin to be overconscious of my lungs, I do not mean to have it inferred that I ever go to sea as a passenger. Never go to sea as a passenger. For to go as a passenger, you must needs have a purse. Sorry, old language speaks tough for me. You must needs have a purse, and a purse is but a rag unless you have something in it. Besides, passengers get seasick, they grow quarrelsome. They don't sleep of nights, they do not enjoy themselves much. As a general thing, no, I never go as a passenger. Nor though I'm something of a salt, to ever go to sea as a commodore, or a captain, or a cook, I abandon the glory and distinction of such offers to those who like them. For my part, I abominate all honourable, respectable toils, trials, and tribulations of every kind whatsoever. It is quite as much as I can do to take care of myself without taking care of ships, barks, brigs, schooners, and what not. And as for going as cook, though I confess there is considerable glory in that, a cook being a sort of officer on the ship on board, yet somehow I never fancied broiling fowls. Though once broiled, judiciously buttered, and judgmatically salted and peppered, there is no one who will speak more respectfully, not to say reverentially, as a broiled fowl than I will. It is out of the idolatrous dotings of the old Egyptians upon broiled ibis, and roasted river horse. Roast river horse, those wild, crazy Egyptians. That you see the mummies of those creatures in their huge black houses of pyramids. Now when I go to sea, I go as a simple sailor, right before the mast, plumb down in the forecastle. Man, aloft there, to the royal masthead. True, they rather order me about some, and make me jump from spar to spar like a grasshopper in a May meadow. And at first, this sort of thing is unpleasant enough. It touches one's sense of honour. In particularly, if you come to an old established family in the land, the Van Rensselaers, or Randolphs, or Radunikits. Definitely not pronouncing that right. And more than all, if just previous to putting your hand to the tar pot have been lording it as the country schoolmaster, making the tallest boys stand in awe of you. The transition is a keen one, I assure you, from the schoolmaster to a sailor, and requires a strong decoration of senesia and the Stoics to enable you to grin and bear it. But even this wears off in time. What of it? If some old hunks of sea captains order me and get broom and sweep down the decks, what does that indignity amount to? Weighed, I mean, in the scales of the New Testament. Do you think the Archangel Gabriel thinks anything less of me because I promptly and respectfully obey the old hunks in that particular instance? Who ain't a slave? Tell me that. Well then, however the old sea captains may order me about, however they may thump and punch me about, I have the satisfaction of knowing that it is all right. That everybody else is one way or another served in much the same way. Either a physical or metaphysical point of view, that is. And so the universal thump is passed round. All hands should rub together. All hands should rub each other's shoulder blades and be content. Again, I always go to sea as a sailor, because they make a point of paying me for my trouble. Whereas they never pay passengers a single penny that I've heard of. On the contrary, passengers themselves must pay. And there is all the difference in the world between paying and being paid. The act of paying is perhaps the most uncomfortable infliction that the two orchid thieves entailed upon us. But being paid, what will compare to it? The urbane activity with which a man receives money is really marvellous. Considering that we so earnestly believe money to be the root of all earthly ills, and that on no account can a moneyed man enter heaven. How cheerfully we consign ourselves to perdition. Whew, it's catching up with me. Finally, I will always go to sea as a sailor, because of the wholesome exercise and pure air of the forecastle deck. For as in this world, headwinds are far more prevalent than winds from astern, that is, if you never violate the Pythagorean maxim. So for as the most part, the Commodore of the quarterdeck gets his atmosphere second hand from the sailors on the forecastle. He thinks he breathes at first, but not so. In much the same way do the commonality... No. Wrong. In much the same way do the commonalty, never heard that word before, the commonalty lead their leaders in many other things, and at the same time that the leaders little suspect it. But wherefore it is after having repeatedly smelt the sea as a merchant sailor, I should now take it to my head and go on a whaling voyage. Voyage! There it is! Voyage! Found it. Found the word. I must go on a whaling voyage. This is invisible police officer of the fates, who has the constant surveillance of me, and secretly dogs me and influences me into some unaccountable way. He can better answer than anyone else, and doubtless my goings on this whaling voyage formed part of my grand program of providence that was drawn up a long time ago. I came into a sort of brief interlude solo between more extensive performances. I take it that this part of the bill must have run something like this. Quote, Grand contested election for the presidency of the United States. Whaling voyage by one Ishmael. Bloody battle into Afghanistan. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that's 2 for sucking at editing. Unfortunately, I didn't realize that my camera can only hold like 20-ish minutes at a time, so I finished the chapter. But you, not yet. Not as of yet. Perfect excuse. Cheers. Oh. And yes, cheers. It is a Tuesday for me. It's not done.
Ah! Man. Alright. Apologies. Back to the book. We're picking up. Bloody battle in Afghanistan. Though I cannot tell why, it is exactly that those stage managers of fates put me down for the shabby part of Whaling Voyage, when others were set down for magnificent parts in high tragedies, and short and easy parts in genteel comedies, and jolly parts in farces, though I cannot tell why this is exactly. Yet, now that I recall the circumstances, I think I can see a little into the springs and motives, which being cunningly presented to me under various disguises, induced me to set about performing the part I did, besides cajoling me into delusions that it was a choice resulting from my own unbiased free will and discriminating judgment. Chief among these motives was the overwhelming idea of the great whale himself. Such a portentous and mysterious monster roused all my curiosity. Then the wild and distant seas, where he rolled his island bulk, the undeliverable, nameless perils of the whale. These, with all the attending marvels of 1,000 Patagonian sights and sounds, helped me sway my wish. With other men, perhaps, such things would not have been inducements, but as for me, I am tormented with an everlasting itch for things remote. I love to sail forbidden seas and land on barbarous coasts, not ignoring what is good. I am quick to perceive a horror, and could be social with it. Would they let me? Since it is but well to be on friendly terms with the inmate of the place one lodges in. By reasons of these things then, the whaling voyage was welcome. The great floodgates of the wonder world swung open, and in the wild conceits that swayed me to my purpose, two and two there floated into my innermost soul endless processions of the whale, and midmost of them all, one grand hooded phantom, like a snow hill in the air. Ladies and gentlemen, that was chapter 1, Loomings, Moby Dick, written by one Herman Melville. Now what can we take out of chapter 1? Cha-cha! Our main character, Ishmael. He hates land lovers. He's drawn to the sea. And he sees his battle with the whale. His trials on the ocean. Not as a choice, but as an inevitability.